When Cathy Engelbert first took over as commissioner, she admitted the WNBA was
It's a little league at the margins of professional sports.
Fans expected her to change that. But in a recent interview, she broke down with a shocking revelation. The WNBA is dying.
I got nothing. I have no money. I have no people.
And the reason is clear. EuroLeague is quietly stealing WNBA stars. Huge names have already left this week, and Cathy is panicking. I've got the details. Let's get into it. EuroLeague poaches WNBA stars. The alarm is screaming, and the building is already filling with smoke. The WNBA isn't just facing a tough offseason, it's staring down a full-blown talent raid that threatens the league's identity at its peak. Europe is signing away the stars, and the league's front office is scrambling to pretend this is fine. The loudest silence? The distance between public optimism and private panic. This isn't gossip. It's a pattern, relentless and targeted. The offers keep coming, the perks keep stacking, and the message to the game's best players is crystal. There's a world across the Atlantic that will pay more, pamper more, and promote more right now. And the person in the crosshairs is Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, tasked with fixing the plane while flying it. When the commissioner has publicly admitted that on day 2, she was staring at a bare-bones marketing plan and no budget to amplify the product, you begin to understand the fragility behind the highlight clips and ticker tape confetti. She didn't hide it. She said it. That wasn't some vague admission behind closed doors. It was said on camera.
Kobe said, "What do you need?" I said, "I need $50 million. I actually just made it up. I need $50 million. Because I need to hire people to help. Because I was used to that Deloitte life of having capability, like whatever.
The moment lands like a thunderclap. The league's leader didn't have a war chest. She needed to invent a number large enough to convey how far behind the WNBA actually was. If you're a player watching that, hearing that, you understand the truth beneath the talking points. Inside, the wiring is old, and the wiring matters. Because the competition isn't a rival startup or a niche domestic league. It's EuroLeague, backed by clubs with deep pockets, championship urgency, and a long record of treating their stars like long-term investments. Meanwhile, on the home front, the commissioner describes walking into a marketing department that barely existed.
She had 4 bullet points. They were great. I said, "That's awesome. Can you double-click as a good consultant? Can you double-click on all 4 of them? And what's the executable plan behind it?" And she looked at me for like 20 seconds, which was forever, and said, "Cathy, I got nothing. I have no money. I have no people. I can't do paid media at any scale. We have no real social media platform."
That's not a footnote. That's the core vulnerability. If your league can't tell its own story at scale, someone else will. Overseas executives don't need to knock down a strong wall. They only need to find the cracks. The cracks were in plain sight. Underpowered marketing, thin digital, and a league that for years relied on passion and personality more than payroll and infrastructure. That gap is exactly where a rival can sneak through with white glove offers that make a player's life easier and more lucrative the moment the WNBA season ends. The danger is timing. The WNBA is hotter than it's ever been. Viewership, storylines, and rookie energy are surging, and the talent has never felt more global and marketable. But success paints a target on your back. Every spike in ratings creates a bigger incentive for Europe's richest teams to make their move. The commissioner knows the global aperture is widening. She says it herself, emphasizing the league's international footprint and the rising number of players born outside the U.S.
Global's really important to us. You know, we are a domestic league today, plus now Canada. Our global ranks of players born outside the U.S. is increasing. I think it was 8% when I came in the league. Last year it was 23% on WNBA rosters were born outside the U.S. So we're even globalizing our player population, which means we're globalizing our fan base.
Momentum is a magnet. Global attention draws global bidders, and EuroLeague clubs aren't shy about rolling out their sales deck. A clear salary, hefty bonuses, a beautiful apartment, a driver, world-class recovery facilities, a social team that knows how to grow a brand in multiple languages, and a 7-month runway to be the #1 priority in town. The long game of WNBA expansion and media growth runs headfirst into the short game of sign here, start next month, you'll be treated like royalty. Here's the paradox at the center of this drama. The league is expanding, celebrating new markets, courting new investors, and preaching the gospel of sustainable growth, all while EuroLeague is executing a here-and-now acquisition spree. On paper, expansion is proof of life. In practice, it's a stress test. The commissioner explains the expansion process like an MBA playbook. Serious capital, serious facilities, serious community commitments.
You have to put a bid together with an investor group that has the capital, that makes a bid around a franchise fee, but really most importantly is the practice facility, the arena, the corporate partners who would step up, the support from the community, because we're always a very community-based sport with, players living and working in the communities, where they are. And but obviously financial bid and facilities are the most important part, and the ownership group, because sports is not for the faint of heart, and it's not a short-term investment. It's a long-term investment.
That's what the future is supposed to look like. The risk is that the future arrives slowly while Europe's offers arrive now. Media rights are the lifeblood of modern leagues, and Engelbert insists that bundling with the NBA gave the WNBA leverage, reach, and day-to-day programming power.
With the NBA can provide over 320 plus days of programming, so we hit all 12 months for programming. We're much more valuable going to market with them on this deal with NBC and ABC, ESPN, Disney, as well as Amazon. So that was a huge positive for us, and we had a great deal. It's historic for women's sports.
That's a smart play in a landscape dominated by streaming platforms and live sports bidding wars. But broadcasting leverage is only as strong as the product on the floor. If EuroLeague keeps luring headliners into full season commitments, broadcasters notice, sponsors notice, and casual fans feel it first. It's why Engelbert keeps pointing to structural investments and institutional diversity, not just hype. She notes the ownership mix, NBA-affiliated clubs, independents, public and private money, and frames expansion as a chance to deepen community roots and stabilize the business.
Well, again, we have NBA-affiliated owners, independent owners. We have an all-women ownership group, 3 women up in Seattle. We have diverse ownership at the minority investor level. Obviously, all the NBA teams are primarily owned by men, but we're making some progress there with diverse ownership groups. And again, as we look at expansion, we look for the diversification of that group.
And sure, that model can work if the core product stays elite. The nightmare is obvious. Expansion without retention is just dilution. New jerseys, same headaches. And here's the part executives hate. The EuroLeague pitch replaces uncertainty with certainty. Bigger base pay isn't a rumor. It's line 1 of the offer. Bonuses aren't hopeful, they're scheduled. The housing isn't we'll sort it out. It's move-in ready. Staff attention isn't we're growing. It's we're here. When players compare that to a commissioner recounting how she had to ask for a hypothetical $50 million just to hire staff and modernize basic league functions, the contrast bites. Engelbert describes inheriting a bare-bones marketing operation. Players don't need an economics lecture. They need confidence that the league they love can match the seriousness of the teams courting them abroad. The commissioner's request signaled to corporate America and to every overseas GM that the WNBA would spend the next few years rebuilding its core functions. That's admirable leadership. It also created a temporary window for competitors willing to strike while the scaffolding was still visible. To shrink that window, Engelbert has chased relevance through structure, narrative anchors that stretch the season's meaning. She points to the Commissioner's Cup as part of making the calendar feel consequential beyond the playoffs.
When we tip off every season, because there's a lot, I never knew this. I thought in the off season you kind of take vacation and no. The off season is as intense as the season. During the season it's whack-a-mole because you're, games and you're traveling a lot and you're looking at the competition and, trying to figure out, and you have an all-star game and we have a Commissioner's Cup, our in-season competition.
The instinct is right. Give networks and sponsors more must-watch moments. But tentpoles demand tents, and tents demand stars. You can't build a summer festival around a headliner who's living across an ocean for half the year. Meanwhile, the geographic map is changing in real time. The Bay Area's new franchise has been introduced, an attention magnet in a tech-rich market hungry for women's sports.
The new team is in the Bay Area, the Golden State Valkyries, and they're going to kill it this year off the court for sure, and on the court they had an expansion draft, so it'll be interesting to see.
Then comes the big swing beyond U.S. borders and deeper into the Pacific Northwest Pipeline, an unmistakable signal that the league is thinking continent-wide, not city by city.
Next year we're going to add the Toronto Tempo, so our first outside the United States, but just our northern neighbor in Toronto, but that'll be kind of Canada's team. And then Portland will come in next year with Toronto. And then we have one more to grant. Some point this year, we'll maybe make that announcement for 27 or 28 entry.
Expansion is the poster on the wall. Retention is the fine print. Fans don't buy tickets to watch a business plan. They buy to see players they know. Inside EuroLeague's playbook. If you ask players privately what sticks with them overseas, and you'll hear the same themes on repeat: predictability, respect, and a sense that the organization is built around their needs. They know who's picking them up from the airport. They know the recovery plan after a road game. They know the bonus triggers. Back home, the messaging is aspirational. We're building. And that's not a criticism so much as a reality of a league that only recently rebuilt its basic. Even Engelbert's own stories about shoring up marketing, digital, and staffing underscore how much foundation was missing. Here's where the optics cut deepest. Publicly, the league touts momentum. Privately, its leader has spelled out how far they had to climb just to compete. That candor is a double-edged sword. On one side, it wins trust. On the other, it confirms to any overseas GM that the WNBA's checkbook still isn't where it needs to be. And because this is a consumer brand, not a B2B consultancy, there's nowhere to hide when the product narrows. It's a jaw-dropper, but it also explains why even dramatic wins, buzzy rookies, sellout nights, viral clips can vanish if the league can't keep the stars who make those moments possible. Meanwhile, the global aperture keeps widening. The commissioner talks about a domestic league that now includes Canada and an international player base that climbed to nearly a quarter of all roster spots. That's a win for visibility and a recruitment pipeline for teams abroad. Every time a player becomes a star in the US, her value to a EuroLeague club rises in tandem. Eventually, the spreadsheet wins, and the spreadsheet is merciless. The EuroLeague calendar offers fewer back-to-back travel grinds, better recovery infrastructure, and a level of personal attention that makes even well-run North American operations look Spartan. It's not just comfort, it's performance. Fewer red eyes mean fresher legs. Fresher legs mean better numbers. Better numbers mean bigger contract. It becomes a feedback loop, and the WNBA is stuck trying to break it with optimism and goodwill. It's true that now the league is bigger, brighter, and finally being valued by the media ecosystem, bundled with the NBA, able to offer more days of programming and more leverage at the bargaining table. But the other side of the story is stalking the same timeline. EuroLeague's offers are immediate, specific, and relentlessly personal. The WNBA's strategy is broad, systemic, and measured over years. That asymmetry is how momentum stalls. The plot twist is that both stories can be true at once. The WNBA can be healthier than ever and still vulnerable. It can cut expansion ribbons while losing sleep over its most bankable stars. It can talk about globalization even as it accelerates departures. When the commissioner herself is laying out the case that the league had to build the very basics of marketing and media from scratch, the takeaway writes itself. The league's culture has sprinted ahead of its coffers. That's not shameful. It's the residue of rapid growth meeting real-world budget. If you've been wondering why players talk so openly about options, this is why. The runway is real, but so are the exits. And when the door is open, the gravitational pull will always favor whoever can pay more, promise more, and protect more right now. The WNBA's public face will tell you this is a global game now, that international opportunity is a sign of women's basketball finally getting its due. And sure, at surface level, it's a nice narrative. Stars jetting off to play in glamorous cities, showcasing their talent to new audiences, bringing the game to the world. But peel back that glossy travel brochure, and what you'll find is a calculated, systematic, and frankly ruthless recruitment machine run by Europe's top basketball clubs. This isn't some scattershot, we'll take whoever's available approach. This is targeted acquisition at a level that would make Wall Street headhunters blush. The EuroLeague knows the WNBA's vulnerabilities because they've been studying them for years. They know the contracts, the season length, the gaps in pay, and, most importantly, they know exactly when to strike. A EuroLeague GM's dream window is the WNBA offseason, which conveniently begins just as European leagues are ramping up. This means the moment a WNBA season ends, win or lose, offers can land in an agent's inbox before the player even takes her exit physical. The pitch is almost always the same: a salary that dwarfs WNBA earnings, housing in a city's upscale district, fully furnished, often with a view worth an architectural magazine cover, a driver for every commute, every errand, every game, a personal chef or catered meals tailored to the athlete's preferences and recovery needs, performance bonuses structured to hit early in the season, putting immediate cash in hand. By the time the player has unpacked her duffel bag from the WNBA playoffs, she's got a signed PDF in her email with terms that could change her bank balance overnight.
We need household names, rivalries, and games of consequence. And once you have that, people are going to watch. And last year, guess what happened? We had all three. And it worked. Our viewership averaged 1.2 million. It was incredible. And when I first started, our viewership was probably 180,000 or 200,000. So it was an incredible...
That's Cathy Engelbert highlighting the growth in audience. But here's the flip side. Those 1.2 million viewers are also 1.2 million potential fans for a EuroLeague team that signs the same player next season. Increased visibility in the US makes players more marketable overseas, and the recruitment pitches lean heavily on that expanded personal brand value. Let's be clear, this isn't just about cutting bigger check. The smartest EuroLeague recruiters sell lifestyle and stability just as hard as they sell pay. They understand that after the grind of a WNBA summer, back-to-back back-to-back commercial flights, a schedule that feels like sprinting a marathon, players are primed for a different kind of season. Imagine the contrast. Instead of a 5:30 a.m. alarm for a cramped flight and a layover, you're being picked up by a driver who knows your coffee order. Instead of grabbing takeout between practice and media availability, you're sitting down to a meal prepared in your kitchen by someone who knows your nutritional plan. Instead of fighting for charter flights in tense league negotiations, you're boarding a team-owned jet without a second thought. It's not just luxury, it's rest. And rest is performance. Players know this, their bodies know this. In one particularly telling case, a WNBA All-Star described her overseas season as, "The first time in years I felt like my only job was to play basketball." In the WNBA, she said, the pressure to advocate for the league, to market herself, and to shoulder media obligations in addition to playing was a constant strain. In EuroLeague, that load is redistributed. She's allowed to just be an athlete. Agents aren't just middlemen here. They're active participants in the bidding war. In some cases, agents use EuroLeague offers as leverage in WNBA negotiations, even if the player never intends to leave full-time. But the danger for the league is when those leverage offers become real decisions. Consider this scenario. A player's rookie deal is ending, and she's about to enter restricted free agency in the WNBA. An overseas team comes in with a 3-year guaranteed deal worth more than her entire WNBA earnings to date, plus bonuses. Even if she loves playing in the States, the security and stability of that contract can be impossible to ignore. The scouting process is almost corporate in its precision. Every stat, every minute, and every efficiency metric is logged, compared, and charted. Teams also keep close tabs on contract timelines, knowing exactly when a WNBA deal expires and what the buyout terms look like. Beyond the court, they're monitoring social media, lifestyle interviews, and even charity events to figure out what really matters to a player. If a player talks in an interview about loving Paris fashion or Turkish cuisine, you can bet those details show up in the pitch deck. Engelbert and her team aren't blind to this. They've been holding what insiders describe as retention meetings, closed-door sessions with ownership groups and player reps to figure out how to keep talent stateside year-round. Ideas have ranged from off-season endorsement subsidies to help close the EuroLeague gap, to domestic exhibition tours in warm weather markets during the winter, and even expanding Commissioner's Cup prize pools to pump more money into the regular season. The problem is scale. Even with new media deals, the league's operating budget can't match the top EuroLeague salaries across the board, not without sacrificing other growth initiatives like expansion or grassroots programs. Can Engelbert save the WNBA? What makes the EuroLeague threat so hard to combat is that it's not solely financial. Lifestyle is an enormous draw. Players talk about how overseas teams celebrate birthdays with catered parties, how team staff remember family members by name, how travel itineraries are built around player comfort rather than cost efficiency. One veteran summed it up this way: "In Europe, I feel like the main event. In the WNBA, I feel like part of the event." That's a brutal comparison for a league trying to brand itself as the pinnacle of women's basketball.
We were at the margins of professional sports back in 2019 when I joined. And I joined 2/3 of the way for the season.
That margin is exactly where EuroLeague thrives. A player who doesn't feel maximized in the US can easily imagine herself as the center of a franchise's world overseas. And when her phone buzzes with a WhatsApp message from a team executive offering a package worth double her domestic salary, that imagination turns into a plan. Here's where EuroLeague contracts get especially shrewd. Many deals include clauses for early payout bonuses or performance-triggered extensions. This means a player can hit certain stat benchmarks by January and secure an even larger payday, all before the WNBA preseason even tips off. Some clubs even write in marketing guarantees, a minimum number of promotional appearances or brand features that ensure the player's visibility skyrockets in the local market. This has a compound effect. It raises her profile for both European and US audiences, making her even more valuable when she negotiates her next contract back home. Fans often underestimate how much player movement affects the league's narrative arc. A star missing half a WNBA season, or skipping it entirely, doesn't just affect her team's standings. It erodes rivalries, interrupts storylines, and weakens the sense of continuity that keeps casual viewers coming back. If the WNBA wants those games of consequence Engelbert keeps talking about, it needs the rosters to stay loaded with the players who make those games consequential in the first place. Expansion is Engelbert's bet against stagnation. She believes new markets will bring new revenue, which will eventually translate into better player pay and perks. But expansion is also a logistical drain. More teams mean more roster spots to fill, more arenas to book, more media rights to negotiate. In the short term, it stretches resources thinner at the exact moment the league is trying to hold on to its top-tier talent. It's an exciting headline, but behind the scenes, every expansion meeting is shadowed by the question, will there be enough star power to go around? The WNBA's nightmare scenario isn't losing 1 or 2 stars. It's becoming a feeder league for EuroLeague. Imagine the perception shift if the narrative becomes, if you want to see the best women's basketball in the world, you have to watch EuroLeague. It's not impossible. Look at how European soccer leagues eclipse domestic leagues in countries like Brazil and Argentina, despite those nations producing top-tier talent. If you thought the EuroLeague's push was just an off-season storyline, think again. This is no passing phase. It's the opening scene of a fight that could decide whether the WNBA controls its own narrative for the next decade, or whether Europe becomes the de facto destination for the league's most marketable talent. Cathy Engelbert knows this isn't business as usual. She's been in the rooms where both the dreams and the cracks in the system are visible at the same time. From the start, Engelbert has been explicit about the stakes. She's described expansion as more than a growth move. It's a lifeline for a league that can't afford to stand still. But expansion takes time. Building an ownership group, proving capital reserves, locking in an arena and a training facility. Those aren't overnight steps. While the WNBA builds that future, the EuroLeague offers the present. One path promises longevity. The other promises certainty. That certainty is dangerous because it feeds on the very progress Engelbert has been pushing. The WNBA is finally producing household names and star rivalries. The exact ingredients overseas recruiters can turn into premium offers. And those stars aren't just playing basketball. They're carrying storylines. The league's most watched draft in history drew over 3 million viewers. Rivalries like Aja Wilson versus Breanna Stewart and Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese pull casual fans into must-watch games. Lose just 2 or 3 of those players to a EuroLeague contract for even one summer, and the ripple effect hits ratings, sponsorships, and ticket sales. This is why Engelbert talks about games of consequence so often. She knows that star-driven narratives keep casual viewers hooked, and casual viewers become ticket buyers. That intensity is by design. The league is building events into the calendar to make it harder for fans to drift away. But if the players who fuel those events are wearing a EuroLeague jersey in February, the whole strategy wobbles. And yet, Engelbert has wins in her column. The Golden State Valkyries are launching in the Bay Area, with Toronto and Portland already on the expansion list, and another team targeted for 2027 or 2028. Each city brings in new fans, new sponsors, and new local media coverage.
Yeah, so we've announced team 14 and 15 in Toronto and Portland, and we have a process right now for additional teams where we have a lot of demand and a lot of ownership groups around the country interested.
But expansion doesn't solve retention, at least not immediately. Retention means making the WNBA the most comfortable place for its players, on and off the court. That's where EuroLeague is beating them right now. Creature comforts, off-season pay, and instant security. Fast forward to now, and the infrastructure gap is closing. The league's new media deal talks include NBC, Peacock, Amazon, and even Apple and Netflix. That's leverage. But leverage doesn't automatically translate into player satisfaction, especially when a EuroLeague club can call on a Monday and promise a full suite of perks by Friday. The other problem? EuroLeague doesn't just offer money. It offers predictability. WNBA salaries are improving, but off-season earnings are still inconsistent unless a player has multiple endorsement deals. Engelbert could flip that dynamic by turning the off-season into a league-run revenue generator. Imagine sponsor-backed player clinics, branded exhibition series, or WNBA-organized tours that pay stars to stay stateside and stay visible. Those aren't pipe dreams. They're already models in other sports. Engelbert herself admits the off-season is just as intense as the season, but the focus right now is logistics and planning. Shifting part of that intensity to player-facing earnings could be a game changer. It would turn stay home from a personal sacrifice into a smart business move. The globalization of the WNBA is another double-edged sword. Engelbert is proud that roughly 23% of rosters are now made up of international players. It expands the fan base and builds new markets, but it also means the EuroLeague has a bigger network to pull from and more personal connections to leverage in recruiting. This is why the WNBA's immediate focus has to be micro-level improvements that players feel day to day: consistent charter flights, better recovery facilities, family travel stipends, and housing assistance. These aren't perks anymore. They're competitive necessities. Even Engelbert acknowledges the high visibility of every decision.
The one thing I didn't predict is how public-facing this role is. And my son predicted it. He said, "Mom, but you didn't want a public-facing role in your next role." I said, "Yeah, but this is a little league at the margins of professional sports." I was wrong. Everything we do, everything I wear, everything a player does, every speech, every word gets scrutinized. And unfortunately, there's a bad part of being the leading women's sports league in the US.
Public perception shapes recruiting, whether the WNBA likes it or not. Every time a player posts a smiling EuroLeague team photo from a chartered jet, it's a silent ad against staying home. The solution is not to match Europe on every point, that's unrealistic in the short term, but to compete where it matters most to players: comfort, visibility, and earnings stability. The WNBA has the platform. Now it has to use it to make staying stateside feel like the only smart choice. If this feels like a sprint, it's because it is. Engelbert's entire tenure has been about building long-term stability, but the EuroLeague's aggressive push has turned this into a now-or-never window. Lose too many stars in the next 2 seasons, and you risk training the fan base to accept a rotating cast of headliners. That's the opposite of the household names strategy. The end game: turn the WNBA into the kind of league where, when a EuroLeague offer comes in, players don't even take the call. That means locking in both the big picture growth and the small picture wins that keep players loyal. And that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. To get more of such videos, please ensure to click on the card showing on the screen.